Howdy, and welcome back to the Ben Thinking Podcast. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you all for tuning in yet again. Today we have Coastal Cane, if I'm saying that correctly. Drink Coastal Cane on Instagram. Coastal Cane. These guys we met at the Foodie Fest in Las Vegas I think like a month or so ago, maybe something like that. And I liked what they were doing. I mean, they had a hell of a line outside of their place, and I was like, man, what are these guys obviously got something going on. So I'm gonna let them kind of take it away from here. But if you guys don't mind walking me through, what are y'all up to? How are you guys doing today?
We're pretty good, man. It's Friday, so for us, as the weekend gets closer, we get busier because all of our events tend to be concentrated on the weekends. So this is probably like the biggest prep day for us.
Damn. All right, busy day.
Yeah.
Sweet. What events do you guys have coming up next?
So every week we have our weekly farmers market. So that's on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we just add events onto that. As we get more into summer, there's more events, more food festivals, carnivals, just kind of things that people go out. And as well, we're planning for a grand opening of our first location coming up very soon. So always something to keep us busy.
Definitely sounds like it. So if you don't mind, let us know exactly what is Coastal Cane and how did it come to be?
Yeah, Ahmed.
Yeah, so I got you. Coastal Cane is so Coastal Cane started off as an idea with Yusuf. Um,
So basically, my family is Egyptian, and I grew up going to Egypt every summer as a kid. So I would try sugarcane juice in Egypt all the time. It's like a very common drink in Egypt. I had family members telling me like, if you don't drink this, you're not Egyptian. So it was something that was imparted onto me as a very young age in Egypt, and I have a lot of like positive memories associated with it. Um, Something I always loved. But throughout my education, I kind of realized I wanted to own a business. Somebody had told me, hey, if you want to open a business, you should think about something that exists back home that doesn't exist in America and bring it over. So naturally, the first thing I thought of was sugarcane, and it's something I just kind of had in the back of my head. And when COVID happened, I lost my job. I was, let go like a lot of people, and just sitting at home, nothing to do. With the stimulus check, I thought, why don't I just open a business? And the first thing I thought of was sugarcane. Like it was already in my head. And this is kind of how Ahmed and I come together at this point, where um, I had a previous relationship with Ahmed. We knew each other from college, had like a calculus class together. And he had a honey business he'd been running for about 10 years. So, um, me not having an entrepreneurial background, I was like, I need to reach out to somebody who's in this kind of food space to get like an idea of what I'm getting myself into. And I kind of just presented the idea to him. And I mean, you can kind of tell me from your perspective
yeah,
how that was.
at that point, like after we met up and he was telling me like, "Hey Ahmed, I want to get some advice. I'm about to enter into the food space." And he's telling me all about it, sugarcane juice, the background, and what it means to him. And I'm hearing him go, and I'm just like, dude, do I just want to give him advice? I was like, no, no, no. Hey, bro, instead of the advice, let me just go 50-50 with you. I literally posed as like, hey, like instead of you just investing into the machine by yourself, and if it doesn't work out, you're not going to eat that loss by yourself. So how about I go 50-50 with you? We'll both invest in it, give it a try. And if it doesn't work, at least you're not doing it alone. And yeah, honestly, there's never been a loss after that. After that, we got started. We met up in March again. We drafted our contract, just making sure we're doing everything by the book, clear communication. And it was June 12th, our first event. It was called Rave Night Market. This was like a pop up
Hell yeah.
rave theme to it. And so this was first Yusuf's first time opening up at a pop up, and we just sent it.
Yeah.
Serving sugarcane juice to everybody.
That was 2021, our first event. And when we started, we just had sugarcane and the machine, and we were just juicing it. And like, okay, well, let's try it with this. Oh, okay, that doesn't taste very good. Let's try it with that. Just like complete experimentation,
Winging
like
it all the way
complete winging it. And early on, we figured out that like sugarcane, anything you mix it with, like fruit flavor wise, like it just tastes unbelievable. It like sugarcane being the rawest form of sugar, the sugar plant. When you juice it, you're extracting the moisture from the sugarcane plant. So it has a natural sweetness to it. So anything you mix it with, it's gonna take on that flavor and just kind of shoot it to another level. So we're like, oh my God, okay, we kind of have something here.
Yeah.
So first few months was just planning the business, getting the name, logo, all those kind of things, and trying to figure out how we're going to best execute it. And that was about 2 years ago. We're coming up very soon on 2 years now.
It seems like you guys have made a lot of growth very quickly. I mean, 2 years. I think in the world of entrepreneur, like it takes years for even an idea to come into fruition. So I think like it sounds like yes, the idea existed beforehand, but by the time you guys put it into action and started making movement, it seems like you guys made movement pretty quickly. And I think it goes to show that partnerships are important, like extremely important. And I think usually help things move a little bit faster. Nobody can ever do it alone, right? And that's probably one of the most important relationships that you go into. I remember one of my clients I had, him and his wife. He's like, I could divorce my wife faster than I could divorce my business partner. It's like it's a big deal. It's cool.
No, I mean, just to give you a specific example of that, I already mentioned I had not opened a business prior to this, and Ahmed was doing his honey, and he was selling honey at farmers markets. So he had already understood the entire scope of a farmers market business. So walking into that, I was partnered with somebody who had already done this before. So I just had to learn. He had to teach me what to do. Okay, and then now we're ready to tackle the next thing. So the learning curve was very short. It was like kind of we have the product. We already know how to go out and sell it. From there, it was just how can we make this product better? How can we get more visibility? How can we capitalize on the most high traffic events and things like that?
Does the honey business still exist?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And
Nice.
all of my energies on Coastal Cane for sure. But yeah, if you ever want to order a jar, shefoundhoney.com. Check it out. I got you an amazing selection of honey.
So, do you guys would the goal ever be to bring in the honey into the sugar cane, or those two separate products that would stay separate forever?
So that's a good question. We've actually been asked that a lot of times. Like, oh, have you guys ever mixed the two? Honey's one of those things where, in order for it to dissolve in a drink, the drink has got to be warm.
Mm.
And sugarcane juice is predominantly, for the most part, a refreshing cold drink.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Okay.
to get the two to mix together, it would need some like major science that we felt like wasn't like totally applicable to the theme that we got going on with the fruit flavors and the cocktail recipes that we have.
Yeah.
Go for it?
No, I was just gonna piggyback off what he's saying that like the fruit flavor kind of cocktail vibe that we go for is to kind of emphasize this um, kind of tropical, beachy, vacation, refreshing vibes you get when you see our cup, you watch us juice, you taste it. All of those things come together and they make you feel that way.
Coastal Cane.
Whereas honey
Yeah.
is like a little bit of a different like kind of feel to it.
Yeah. It's a specialty food of its own
Yeah,
category.
exactly. And they're both kind of strong enough products to stand on their own too.
I've never seen people doing fresh sugarcane. I mean that's attractive on its own, right? Like it is its own marketing by just the fact that it's aesthetically pleasing to watch people out there
Yeah,
putting the sugarcane into an item that extracts it, and then you're like watching. You're just even after we got our drinks, we're just standing there watching you
yeah,
guys make the drinks because it's so entertaining. Like
it is.
it's so fun.
Like in Egypt, that's what like attracted me to it. Like, it's something that you don't forget. Like, here is like a stick going through this like hole, and then on the other side of it, juice is coming out. And so, like, the concept is like kind of it like strikes a core with people for sure.
Go for it.
And just something about sugarcane itself is like especially in terms of when we're introducing it to a lot of customers, they definitely get triggered when they hear the word sugar. But the reality is the sugarcane stock is predominantly water. It's 75% water and only 10% sugars and 15% fiber.
I'm gonna have you go through those numbers again for me, if you don't mind. I get distracted usually, so if you don't mind, go through those numbers one more time.
Yeah, absolutely. So sugarcane, the stock itself is predominantly water. We're talking about 75% water and only 15% low glycemic index sugars. That's a really nice fancy term for basically sugar that will not spike your insulin, like the healthy sugars your body needs. And it's 10% fiber. So when you see this thing that goes from a stick, right, that looks like bamboo, it looks like it could hurt somebody if you hit them with it, and then it comes out
It probably would.
the other side, and all this moisture is pouring out. that was actually a part of our like unique strategy in terms of trying to draw customers. As we said, hey, let's put this juicer all the way to the front.
Yeah.
Because in our experience when we were first checking out sugarcane and going to shops that serve the drink,
a lot of them hide it in the back. It's something that we try to differentiate ourselves from other competitors, that we want you to have an experience with the juicing. That's why when you were in Vegas too, I believe we used.
Support for Ben Thinking is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code THINKING at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 16 million balls. I got my lawnmower and weed whacker recently, and I immediately put the weed whacker inside of my nostrils. No nicks, no snags, and I have never been able to smell things as good as after I used the weed whacker. The crop preserver makes my balls smell nice every single day that I'm in the gym, and of course, we love that. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code THINKING at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code THINKING. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
So we like to really push the actual visual aspect of juicing. So it's a great part of our business because we don't want to hide that. We don't want to hide that at all. And part of the reason we don't want to hide it is because we're so confident in the type of sugarcane that we use.
So I have questions about the type of sugar cane, where you guys get it, and if it's y'all's. But then at the same time, in Egypt, were they doing? Man, I just got a text too. I just got a call. In Egypt, are they also doing the fruit extracts as well?
So I'll answer the first question first about where we get our sugarcane from. We
Okay.
get our sugarcane from California, near the border in Mexico, in Imperial County. The most important thing about that is that it's local and that it's fresh sugarcane and it's never frozen. Whereas a lot of other people who sell it, they get theirs imported from other countries, so it comes frozen, meaning you lose a lot of the taste and the health benefits.
It's a pre-peeled sugarcane that's been dunked in hot water in order to like help clean it. But that dunking in the hot water it really it brings down the flavor and the whole profile of the sugarcane juice in comparison to a fresh stock. Night and day difference.
Fresh is always better. I mean, we know that.
Yeah,
right?
and there's like reasons why competitors opt for frozen, because there's a certain ease to it compared to working with fresh produce. But that was one of the first things we decided in this business when we tasted the difference. We said, like, I will not have the satisfaction in my heart of serving a frozen sugarcane juice versus a fresh one, where I know that, like, if I wouldn't drink it, I don't want to serve it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's truly how we feel about frozen sugarcane.
100%.
Like, there's such a difference.
It's that big of a difference. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah. To answer your question though about Egypt, and this could kind of get into a whole new topic about kind of the history of sugarcane. Every culture and ethnicity who enjoys sugarcane has their own unique way of enjoying it. So for Egyptians in our background, it's just the straight sugarcane by itself, no ice, and just chug it all in like one or two gulps, because you're under the hot beating sun in Egypt, and that rush of like raw sugar is like, it's kind of like a natural Gatorade. It kind of gives you a little bit of energy. So that's how they do it in Egypt.
Cool.
But in Vietnam, for example, where you see maybe some of the biggest fans of sugarcane on earth, they have every cup with like a squash of kumquat, which is that little baby, citrus calamansi fruit.
Yeah, it's a little citrus fruit. You usually find it in your neighbor's backyard, and they tell you, just pluck it and eat the whole thing with the peel. That's the kumquat.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
their recipe. That's how they enjoy it.
and like how India enjoys it.
Yeah, and like in South Asia, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they love it with ginger. They love it with ginger. Give it a little bit of lime squeeze and some ginger in it.
Yeah.
And we have
That
all
sounds
these
good.
flavors, by the way, in our menu. We have all these
Hell yeah.
flavors in our menu, and every country enjoys it differently. In Brazil, they call it caldo de cana, and they actually drink sugarcane juice, but they also eat it with a dish called pastel. I still don't know what it looks like,
I think
but
it's a banana dish or something.
perhaps I want to try it so bad. But yeah, it's sugarcane juice and pastel, and yeah, every culture has its own experience with sugarcane juice.
Yeah,
And
we've got to kind of experience that from like learning the language of how you say sugarcane, and like, different cultures, they use sugarcane for a celebratory reason. Like, I think that you were mentioning Brazil. Like, some Brazilian people told us that every Sunday in Brazil, like, the people get sugarcane. It's like a thing. Or for example, like, the Vietnamese culture, they really like to drink sugarcane on their Vietnamese New Year. It's like a celebratory thing. So there's like even like a cultural heritage and like emotional response that people get when they see our drink. But it's like, this reminds me of my grandma. This reminds me when I was a kid. So kind of like hitting on that nostalgia too is something we really love to do.
It seems like y'all's page is like very much so all about like it seems like you guys are bringing in the different names of the how sugarcane is called, and I kind of like that. You're over there doing with the sugarcane, and they walk up and they're like, "What is this called?" And you're just that face is just I don't know, kind of deadpan, and you give it the name, and it's just it's good, because you can just repeat that over and over and change the name every single time. It's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. This is the cool thing about sugarcane that we've noticed is that sugarcane itself is rooted literally globally in every culture and every background. And where some people are familiar with just chewing on it and some people are familiar with drinking it as a juice, the cool thing that we notice about this product, this service of ours, is that no matter where we go and who we talk to and what background they're coming from, they have some type of connection with sugar cane. It's in their heritage. They're always bringing up about how, like, on the farm and their grandparents and snatching it off the ground. In certain countries, the sugar cane has a really nice soft peel, so they'll rip it with their teeth and just start chewing on it.
Yeah.
And we're just always so appreciative of the fact that it has that global phenomenon to it, and that the juice itself hasn't been popularized here in America yet,
Mm-mm,
and that's our goal. Like we want to tap that opportunity to tap into that heritage with everybody. We found that so cool, so we kept on asking, like, "Oh, what do you call it in your language?" And then we compiled like a whole list, and it's been such a joyful experience, just even seeing the reactions. Most people haven't tried sugarcane juice ever in their lives. Some people are still
Yeah.
like amazed at, like, what are you doing? What is that? Is that bamboo? We're like, no, bamboo's hollow. Sugarcane juice has like all the meat inside of it. And we're like, just try the drink. And with our menu, after we've experienced sugarcane juice mixed with all of these different fruits, we've recognized that no matter what fruit you mix into it, like, it's just gonna take it to the next level, as Yusuf explained earlier. So whenever you want to choose a drink and you're having a hard time looking at our menu, just go to the fruits that you enjoy, right? Like if you're a person who likes citrusy drinks, oh, we have options for you. If you want something on the sweet side, we got a whole list of options. Tart, same thing. So it's amazing to see them try the drink for the first time ever, and their reaction just eye opening. Their face glows up. It,
Yeah, yeah. The reactions are some of the sweetest part of the business for
yes,
sure, because like we've already said, the visual part of watching us juice draws people in. They wait in this long line. They get to the front, and um, they get to the front, and then they have this dialogue with us about what fruits they want. They select it, and it's like this whole kind of thing leads up to the cup. And we like to tell people when we serve it to them, like, hey, just start sipping right now, because it's like the sip cap. You don't need a straw. So then they start
Yeah.
sipping, and then their face is like, whoa, is like a kind of facial expression we get a lot, and it's like it never gets old.
never,
It never gets
no
old.
way.
Yeah.
It brings so much like gratification. It's such a nice experience.
And that was definitely my experience. Do you guys ever drink it alone, like just the juice,
Yeah.
not adding the how does that? What is that flavor
So
like?
the sugarcane juice by itself, I like to describe it as like a refreshing, earthy, coconut, grassy kind of drink. You have like elements of that
Very
like
cool.
buttery coconut flavor to it. Even though like it's like a note. It doesn't mean like it tastes exactly like water,
Yeah.
but it has that earthy, grassy flavor to it. But after that first sip, you'll experience those type of intense notes, and then the second, third sip, you're just like, this is extremely refreshing. It can't get old.
Yeah, it has a
It
very
is.
rich the sugar cane by itself.
I want to try sugarcane by itself. I mean, it's fun to. I forget which one we had, but it was absolutely refreshing. It was addicting. I was like, man, I want another one of these things. Like, you could drink those things all day, and to know that they are a little bit more on a lower glycemic load or lower glycemic index. It's definitely nice to in at least for like a fitness industry. If you guys, I don't know if the goal is ever to bottle it, right? But if there's a good amount of electrolytes in there, and then you also have a sugar, then if you even if you didn't add any sort of protein to it, and you just made that and bottled it and shipped it out, then you have something that's an electrolyte drink, that's an all natural electrolyte drink. Even if you added some extra vitamin C or whatever it may be, like, it's something that's extremely refreshing. And if I'm finishing a workout, especially if I'm outside or in a garage, that's the first thing that I would grab. I mean, that's like, I would probably grab too many of
Yeah,
those things and feel good, and then not have this insane crash, right? I would have an insulin response that stops the catabolism or stops the degradation of my tissue, but then it'll be over a long period of time, so I don't feel like shit whenever I come down, right? It seems like a good option.
the way you describe that in a more technical way, like, is the experience I have, like, often, where any sort of energy depletion I have from, like, a hard workout, or say even like, I went too hard the night before and I wake up the next morning like hungover.
Yeah.
Sugarcane like has this element of like restoring you to like your normal state. Like, it's like a punch of electrolytes and like raw sugar that just gives you that little boost. So I like how you put that in that technical term. And to answer your question, we absolutely want to bottle it. That's more like a 3 to 5 year goal, because there's several steps to kind of get there. Namely, we'd like to have our own farm.
So then that's, I guess, where do you guys? I mean, I saw a video of y'all like going out there and cutting it yourselves, and when you guys were there at the foodie fest, I mean, there was a truckload
Yeah,
of
yeah.
just cane,
We
dude. Like,
packed up.
what do you like? Where do you
We packed three
go for it?
thousand pounds of sugar cane.
Yeah.
For Vegas.
And I think we got rid of like 2,500, and like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Damn.
Yes.
this is a cool story. When we started the business, you know, we didn't know where to get sugarcane. So we just had the idea. So we bought the machine, and the manufacturer of the machine led us to some farmers, and we said, "Hey, I want to buy
Nice.
sugarcane." They basically said, "Who the hell are you?" And so we were like, okay, well, we're legit. Like, we want to, we're legit buyers. So they're like, get your ass on the farm and show us that you're legit buyers. So for the first 2 months,
Okay.
we were hacking at sugarcane literally from sunrise to sunset. Obviously with breaks, but because you want to cut before the sun is at its peak when it's very hot in the desert, and then you want to rest in the midday and then finish off right before sunset. And it was a grind. We were definitely licking our wounds after that, but we earned the respect of them, and like, basically a seat at the table to be able to have access to fresh sugar cane.
Wow, that's really freaking cool. I mean, what a like an old world kind of entry, like, you have to work and earn your way into getting there, right? It's not just the money. It's like, are you a legit
It
individual that's willing to
it's
work for
really not about the money, because there are suppliers where we would call and we'd be like, whatever they're paying, we'll pay more to get
Yeah.
sugarcane, and they'd be like, no, like, I don't care. Like, I've
it?
been selling to these people for this long; they're my guys. So like, it's kind of a little ironclad to kind of break in, and it's been fun. It's like been for someone who didn't own a business before, like, it's been such a crash course on like how to like start a business and get into a field that has like barriers to entry.
The
What
sweat
if
equity we put in during those days we were going to the farm and cutting. We bought like straw hats. We bought like
Machetes.
we bought machetes, cutters,
Yeah.
and We got specific clothing to help us like stay cool in the sun.
Yeah, because you have to wear a long sleeve because the leaves of the cane plant, they'll slice you, you know?
They're sharp, and it's
Yeah.
actually better to be completely covered under the sun because like your body doesn't need to warm up from that heat that's hitting you directly. There were moments like, I remember I almost had a heat stroke, and it was bad. It was I just literally in the middle of the farm, I just snapped one off the floor, chopped it, and just started chewing on it. I'm like, I need something, and it was
Yeah.
like an instant pick me up right then and there. And then there was times where like we basically we had to sleep in the car. We turned on the AC in
Oh my
full
God.
blast.
We're just sleeping in the car.
Yeah, and the flies are trying to roam
Yeah.
inside, and they're just buzzing in our ears. And you know, there's a fly or two that manages to sneak into the car,
Yeah.
and we're cooked at this point. We're cooked, right? Got these flies buzzing, trying to hit your face. Definitely, like it was sweat equity grind.
I'll tell you this.
Days.
I'll tell you this. Like it's a good thing that happened in the beginning of the business.
Yeah.
Because we had that type of energy of like I will do anything. But you know,
Yeah.
if somebody said, "Hey, you got to go to the farm and cut like every week if you want to keep set," like you know, like
I'm gonna figure out who I need to pay.
yeah. It is not. It is rough.
It is a grind.
Like
It is a
God
grind.
bless people who like you know harvest sugarcane and any difficult like crop. Honestly,
Shout out to anybody who works on farms. Honestly, shout out to anybody who does harvesting. All the food, all the fruit that we eat. You know, like your hard work. Mad love. We appreciate every one of you. Honestly, because just a few days of that, and we're like, yo, this has got to change.
Yeah.
I went to go work. One of my friends' dads was like a foreman for a bunch of different crops, and so he would be the guy that would take a bunch of illegals with him and go and pick. And so I went to go pick some onions, and it was like these guys are hustling and getting paid not enough, and it was hot as shit. And it's just you're bent over and grinding for hours. You know, I mean, it was a cool experience. Glad that I don't have to do it every single day of my life, right? But these guys are doing it all the time, and it's watermelons. It's and like just to like see videos of these guys like picking up the watermelon and throwing it all the way up, and just like for hours that same motion. It's insane. And the same thing with sugarcane. We grew up around sugarcane. I grew up right around along the border of Mexico, so we got to see a lot of crops all the time. And sugarcane was one that was right by our school. And I remember during a track meet, they would burn. There was one picture that was really cool. Like everyone's running, and you could see in the background all the sugar canes being burnt, and then these guys are just running in the middle of the fields, and then all the ashes are falling on us. And it was like in the middle, like you like go between classes, and you'd have just sugarcane ash just all over the floor. It's like, oh, they're burning today. You know, like it was just the way that we grew up. I mean, it was right adjacent to us, but we knew it as like you would chew it, right? Never knew that you could even juice it. Like it makes sense that you could juice it, but I never really thought about it. You know?
It's interesting you mentioned that because it is a common farm practice to burn the sugarcane farm.
Why?
So I believe there might be two reasons. One is to get rid of any pests, especially snakes. Snakes love hanging around in sugarcane fields, and we had no idea. I mean, we're just sitting on the floor, legs crossed, cutting at cane,
and we just come across a snake.
Damn.
And I think the second reason for it is it's basically they have to like kind of like renew it, so they burn it down and then just let it regrow.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Shed like the old skin, basically.
Yeah. What do y'all do with the leftover skins?
So we at the current moment we don't really do anything with it. It's for us at that moment it's just trash. But in the future, it is definitely something that you can compost, and that's something that we want to basically built in and integrate into our business at some point. Where our trash that we have that's collecting all the cane,
it's all sustainable.
it's got to be sustainable because it has great fiber to it. So perhaps it can be like maybe through a little bit of experimenting, some R&D, probably be some material, or just turn it into compost. Absolutely.
I feel like I don't know because I'm just like I mean I'm sure that there's something that it could be used for, and it could be like an additive for or you could replace Metamucil, or it gets added to like a Metamucil, because if it's still fibrous enough and there's still some benefits in there, I'm sure their R&D isn't very much needed probably behind it. But I mean, I understand it's going to be later on in the future. It takes money, it takes time to do those kinds of things, but I'm certain that there's something behind there. Like, you can make plastic bags out of it. You could do, like there's something there. Just figuring out what that thing would be, and if not, if it's just composting, then composting is still important and still needed, right? But I feel like there could be another, almost an entirely other business subsection of like, how do we use this? Like, now let's sell it to HEB or to some sort of like a whole what is it called, Whole Foods, that they can use it for their product in some sort of way. I'm sure it's something down the line, but just figuring out a meal, maybe, like grinding it up and making a meal out of it. I don't know.
That's really interesting.
What we definitely recognize is that sugarcane juice is an untapped industry that we're trying to basically take lead in. And just like with any industry, like so many other like industries around it start developing and opening up. And so we feel like, yeah, there's 100% truth to that, where certain things, like after this starts to become more popularized, yeah, people will start thinking about some R&D and what to do next with sugarcane, and it's going to open up so many more industries around it.
Would it be your goal to focus mainly on just the juice and opening up juices, like like brick and mortars around the country, or nation, world, like the continent? Like, what does that like long-term growth look like outside of just bottling?
Well, on the retail front, we want to basically replicate the exact setting that you met us at the Vegas Foodie Land, which is a small stall that we had, a canopy, and we were in an incredibly high traffic event. So we want to be in high traffic food malls and high traffic shopping malls, and just generally high traffic outdoor social areas where we can take up a small space and just get people to grab juice and like really just enjoy their day with a cup of sugar cane, because we don't need a lot of space, and our juicing process is all we need for people to see, to people to come by.
Yeah.
It's really what it comes down to. So if we can kind of copy and paste that into a lot of high traffic areas, we.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hanging out, dude. All right, glad we got you guys back.
Yes.
I forgot what we were talking about, to be honest
So
with
yeah,
you.
we were talking about. I remember. We were talking about
Cool.
like basically what our goal is, and our goal is to
Yeah.
turn this into a model where we're able to open up brick and mortars, expand in a very strategic way, a marketable brand, Coastal Cane, that is going to introduce the American public to sugarcane juice. That's our goal. We want this juice to be a part of the American food palette.
I see. I don't know. Just sitting with both of y'all, and even though it's not in person, getting but meeting you guys at the Foodie Fest, and then now getting to sit down and have a longer conversation. Now, I see you guys. I'm getting a call. I see you guys as having the personalities and the opportunity to like get to the point where you have your own manufacturing plants, you have your own fields, you have your own crop, like you have a space and an opportunity to take this very, very far. And it's cool to listen to what I think people see all these like large businesses, right? In Texas, we have Bucky's, right? It's a good one, or Chick-fil-A, right? It's another good one, and probably more common. But people see what a Chick-fil-A is now, and like, oh my god, they're all over the place. This is insane. They have such good shit, but they started off as an idea, and then they had some either backing, or they had a group of guys or ladies, women, whatever, a group of people that helped put it together from the first sandwich, and they were like making the breading and like, oh my god, this is the best breading. We tried the pickles, and this is the best combo. And then now we see it what it is today. But getting to see where you guys are at now, and it's already such a cool, like, we're experimenting with flavors. We're trying to grow this to a point where we're everywhere in the country. Like, it's there, like it's the coolest shit. It's just I want everybody to know about what you guys have because I think that it's a fantastic idea and a fantastic product. Like so tasty and enjoyable. I feel like that would be something that you would carry in your cooler, right? If I'm going to the swimming pool with my friends or my family, like that's something that's going to be in my cooler every single time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Thank you for such the kind words, man. I mean, I'm right there with you. That it's about time that everybody knows about this. We do live in a time where people are more conscious to what they put in their body, and even that was the basis of kind of you inviting us, is this kind of health side to it. And the coolest thing about our drink is that it's only like two ingredients: the fruit and the sugar cane, and that's it. And that's
No
that's
guilt.
an easy thing to get people on board for.
I mean, everybody's on this like minimalist idea, right? Like they look at the back and so if they can't read or pronounce half of the shit, then they're not in it, right? And I can guarantee you I can pronounce sugarcane and
Yeah,
ginger. Like I think we're
yeah.
good there.
I think,
Absolutely.
like, since we've been discussing future and bottling, like, I've always looked at sugarcane as like, um, best case scenario is it takes off the way coconut water took off. And how there was a time where nobody drank coconut water here in California or Texas or Vegas or probably anywhere in the US unless you were from a culture that had it back in your home country. But now it's in every 7-Eleven, it's in every Trader Joe's, Costco, and every corner store. And it's such a part of people's normal non water or alcohol soft beverage
Yeah.
intake.
A source of potassium
And sugarcane similarly has the powerhouse electrolyte content that coconut water does, but it has more flavor. And there's a little trade-off with that with the sugar content, but as we've been saying, the low glycemic index. So um, yeah, coconut water is kind of like a dream scenario for the product.
I mean, it's there, dude. Like I see it, I hear it, I believe it, and I think if we just keep putting good vibes into the world, keep on talking about it, like it's gonna get there,
Yeah,
dude. You just gotta keep talking about it. I feel like that's a lot of it. Like talking about it was probably the first step, right? You brought somebody in, you had the idea, you talked about it with somebody, and then you weren't afraid to say, like, I need help in this space. Like, this isn't like I have this idea, but I need somebody to help along the way. And then you have someone as cool as Ahmed over here that it's like, yeah, man, like I already have a background in this space. Like I'm willing to go in half with you and take the risk, right? Like I feel like people are so adverse to inviting people into their business because they're fearful of what that other person could maybe take away from them. But it's like there's nothing to take away yet. It's still an idea. You're both adding to the entire existence of this thing.
people may be threatened or feel insecure about their position within the business, but um, what we're very lucky on is that we happen to, like, for the most part, complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like, it's kind of crazy how many instances where there's something that I'm not good at or I don't know how to do, and Ahmed just happens to be really good at that, and vice versa. And it's like
Absolutely.
after doing this for 2 years, like, we've gotten to a level of our relationship where there doesn't need to be a lot said for us to know where to fall into. Of like, okay, Yusuf got this. This is his thing. Okay, this is Ahmed's thing. We know that he is really good at this, and so I've heard horror stories of partnerships, and I'm just thankful that we have like something pretty solid going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, even in instances where, like, where there's something that we're stuck at, the communication that we have, I don't think I've ever had this type of communication with any of my bros, any of my friends, even family members. We have a really nice way of just communicating from man to man. If there's a problem, like, we'll express it, we'll communicate it, we'll go about it in a very, like, disciplined manner, with a lot of diplomacy and recognizing where each person's coming from, and just feed off of each other's strengths.
Yeah, yeah, because there's definitely not there's not no there's no no not conflict. Like, there is conflict when you have a business partner,
Yeah.
sure. And like we always like I think we both have this mentality of like you have to address it. You have to go through the
Absolutely.
conflict rather than just let it fester. And so if there's an issue, we just take it head on, and we always know we're going to do it with like diplomacy and respect, and it always gets resolved, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And then after that, you know, like we're just hanging out, we're chilling. Everything's just a good time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Like
It's
we could separate like also like the business side from the personal side, where like if we had a rough day at work, like when we clock out, we clock out.
I think that a lot of the goal for the podcast is definitely health and fitness centered, but I also interview a lot of business owners, a lot of CEOs, a lot of entrepreneurs, and the goal is also to talk about what it is like to start a business and take it from idea to products, right, and to the shelf, and how important it is to have the right people around you. And I think you guys are highlighting some of the biggest factors that allow for that opportunity to exist, and not to be afraid of asking for help, right, or like being open and vulnerable enough to say, hey, I'm not okay with these things, and this is how I want to move forward with them, right? I think it's very much so underrated, and it's this idea that you just gotta like muscle it up and just deal with it, and it never leads to good things, right? Like there, sure, like you can have some sweat equity, like put the time in and go out there and go to the farm and put your work in, and yeah, suck it up, right? But when it comes to the function of the business, I just feel like the communication is it's always better to say something than to try to keep it inside, and then years later, months later, you're like, actually, man, I've been really mad about this, and I have this resentment towards you now, and now you can't find a resolution.
Yeah. No, we don't want that.
Yeah. Actually, what you were saying, like the part about just muscling it up and like picking, like what is it? What does the saying go? By your bootstraps.
Pulling yourself out.
Up by your bootstraps. I actually have that experience with my honey business, and I'll say it like Shifa Honey is not in the position that I've always dreamt it to be. And I definitely recognize that a huge part of it was my fear and phobia of partnerships or dealing with an investor, and also like kind of, I'll admit it's kind of like an ego of like, oh, I want to make sure that I know that I built this, that this was all my work. Nobody makes it to the top alone. That's a fact.
Mm.
And from those years of just still grinding out and pushing and doing what I can, and you know, I was able to accomplish a lot. You know, I've traveled a few times, Baltimore, DC, Chicago, Houston, attending conventions as an exhibitor, slinging honey left, right, and center, and building like, you know, this brand. But it's still not in the place that I want it to be, and that draws back from the fact that I was very I was very exclusive, where I had that negative connotation of partnerships, and I didn't really understand that, you know, you need people to work with. And so when Yusuf came in with the idea, it came at a perfect time for me, where I was more receptive to the idea of like working with others. And that's an example for anyone who's paying attention, right? Listening to the podcast, like if you have an adventure, if you have not an adventure, oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for?
A venture, an idea, a
Have an
venture.
adventure, yeah, that you're thinking about, don't be shy to bring somebody on board, because you know, obviously you want to definitely talk to the right person, someone who you can trust, has all the right qualities and characteristics, but don't try to carry all the weight on your own. At some point, you're gonna need somebody with you.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. I love it. Well, I have a meeting that's coming up here in a little bit, so we're gonna call it. But I do want to ask y'all a couple different things. First thing is, where do people find you?
Yeah, so people can find us. Instagram is the best way. You're going to see all of the net relevant information on there. The handle is Drink Coastal Cane. Um, on there, you'll see our weekly farmers market schedule and special events, and all updates relating to the grand opening of our kiosk, as well as any surprising announcements like some merch we want to drop, and other things, and some cool content. Um, there's also a website, drinkcoastalcane.com, and you can find some kind of additional information there. We're also available to contact on the Instagram, where you can book catering or inquire about just really anything, private orders and things like that. Um, we're in Southern California, so all of our events tend to be in this area. Orange County, Inland Empire, LA County, we hit them all.
And sooner than later, we're gonna have our first brick and mortar. The kiosk is gonna be at the Victoria Gardens Mall in the city of Rancho Cucamonga. which is basically off the 15 and between like the 210 and the 10 freeway. So definitely check us out over there. We'll be open pretty much 7 days a week.
This summer too, like following the Instagram, you will see that we're going to be traveling to the Bay Area, San Diego. So we'll be at other places as well for some other people to get a taste.
I need to go visit y'all when you guys open that
Yeah,
kiosk,
yeah.
man. That's the coolest shit, dude. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you, man. So you're in Texas.
I'm actually I moved out from I live part time in Texas, and then I am now living mainly in Las Vegas. So I was back and forth with my partner. She lives here, and so we've been long distance for about 2 years. And finally decided, you know what, let's go ahead and make the move. So now we're here in Vegas, and it's been a lot of people said a lot of like it's hard to find a community here in town, but so far I've had nothing but good experience with really good people, and I think a little bit of it is like you are what you attract, right? And so if you treat people well, they're going to treat you well, right? And so I mean, it's that simple, and I've had nothing but good experiences. But I'm in Vegas, and so I'm only a couple hours, I think 4 hours away from LA or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you guys are ever in town, let me know.
Absolutely, man.
I mean, I'll just let you know it's on our radar. Like it's on. We had such an amazing weekend when we juiced there.
Shout out to all the locals in Vegas.
I swear,
who bought Coastal
They
Cane.
showed us so much love. And had such a great rapport with them. And I think you highlighted that. So best believe like we will be making our way out there, not only for a brick and mortar one day, but for any events that we get our hands on as well.
Absolutely. You guys, I mean, like it's simple. You guys keep on showing us that love. That's going to be our motivation. And you best believe, like, we're coming to you. Wherever you're at, Coastal Cane is coming to help serve you that nice fresh juice. That's a fact.
What better place than Las Vegas in the desert, where you guys are serving that shit on the strip? I mean, come on, get out of here.
All the way. All the way. Yeah, you guys just keep on showing us that love. Like that's all it is. Put that energy out there for us, and we got you right back. We're gonna do our best to make it the best experience of your life. That's
hell yeah. And then last question, a piece of advice that you guys would each give yourselves back, either 10, 15 years ago or whenever, even 5 years ago. A piece of advice that you guys would
don't give a fuck what anyone thinks ever. I feel like as I get older, that I start to care less what people think, and that's generally what other people say. But the sooner you realize that, the better, because that's only going to hold you back from taking risks, finding out who you really are, and achieving your goals. Because even when I started Coastal Cane, like there's a beginning part, having never opened a business, where I have like fears about what if this doesn't work out? What are people going to think? Do I want to attach my name and myself to this like product? Like hesitations. And you just work through it. You just work through it, and eventually you become comfortable, you become confident, and everything feels natural. So just don't care what people think. Do what you want. Do what's best for you.
Ahmed, what you got?
I don't know how I could top that off, but what I would just say is just recognize who you are as a person and all the blessings that you have, because there's so many moments where perhaps I might be just feeling really ungrateful. You might be feeling really ungrateful, but just take a step back and look at what you actually have and how much you have going on for yourself, and have that self-confidence just to pound through it. And if you put your mind to it, definitely just remember you have literally everything at your disposal. So
Man, both of those are absolutely so moving. I don't think it's a matter of topping that. It's like they're both uniquely themselves, and you got to have both of those things. You got to be grateful, and you got to fucking take some risk, right? You got to say fuck everybody else and do your thing.
It kind of gives you like a little window into both our personalities.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, thank you all again for the time. I'm gonna go ahead and end the call, or I'm gonna end the recording, and then I'm gonna stay on the call real quick. Go.
All right.
Thanks.